Hello, friends. Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Down, and we have a whole bunch of rumors and some news items around the Dallas Cowboys. As many of you have asked me, we're going to start with one Malik Hooker. How about trading for him? I would love to give this 3 stars or 4 stars. I'll tell you that it's already happened, but I'm only going to give it the 1 star here. There's a trade idea that I kind of like that we'll dive into. But first, if you don't know why we're talking about Malik Hooker, well, the Colts have declined his 5th-year option. And there were trade rumors around Malik Hooker before the NFL draft. He's a former number 15 overall pick, but he's also dealt with injuries. In terms of his on-the-field play, though, he has been the rangy, dynamic ball hawk with fantastic ball skills that I'd love to add to this Cowboys team. The big problem here is not whatever potential value Hooker could bring to the Cowboys or what the Colts might want for him. It's that Indy's trying to win right now. That's why they, signed Phillip Rivers and went old at quarterback. They're trying to win this year. Trading away Malik Hooker, I don't really see how that helps the Colts do that. Now, when he's been on the field, he's been impactful. 7 interceptions in about 34 games. I think most of you would kill to have that type of playmaker on the Cowboys. The big issue why the Colts didn't pick up his option, well, he's been banged up a lot, and there have been some blown coverages. 34 games played in 3 years. Missed a lot of his first year, which actually was one of his best years because teams actually threw at him, and it didn't pay off very well for those other teams. So even though I love to get Malik Hooker, I think part of the concern here is that the Colts would have a pretty high asking price for a player that, A, if he leaves in free agency, would bring back a nice return, and then, B, helps them win right now. Now, 12 Up had this trade proposal, for the Cowboys and Malik Hooker. The Cowboys get Hooker. The Colts get a 2021 third-round pick. I would be all over that because I think Hooker would be your best safety, so the potential to be the best safety. So I don't think it's Dallas who says no. I think in the end, it's the Colts who end up saying no. I'm typing in my I in the comment section, but you guys do the same. D for Dallas, I for Indianapolis. Now, you do, of course, have safeties on 1-year deals already. Xavier Woods, Clinton Dix. The Cowboys clearly want better coverage guys and they want tackling guys, and Hooker also very much fits into that category. I'd love to bring him in. I think it's a great idea. I just don't know how realistic that idea actually ends up being just because of where the Colts are at right now as an organization. If they stink early on in the year, maybe you revisit that as a possible trade deadline move for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, speaking of trades, if you guys want a Cowboys mailbag dedicated to only your trade ideas, here's what the bosses have requested me to get so you guys can pull it off. 60 shares on this video. Put it on YouTube or put it on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever, on your own channel. Just share it for me, all right? All you got to do, copy that link, post it on your social media. If we get to 60, we will do a special fan trade idea mailbag here on the Cowboys Report. Let's move on now to some free agency targets. How about Clay Matthews and the Dallas Cowboys? I will give this one 2 stars. I still like this idea. I think it makes some sense, but I'm not quite convinced it's a route the Cowboys end up pursuing. Now, Matthews, cut by the Rams during NFL free agency. He is an older player. He's not going to get you 8 sacks next year. Even though he had that last season, I wouldn't anticipate an 8-sack year from Clay Matthews if he were to join the Dallas Cowboys. But he's still been productive. He knows Mike McCarthy very well, so I think he'd fit in pretty well with that locker room. And on top of that, he can help you out, most importantly. He shouldn't be that expensive. He could maybe fit into that, what the Cowboys call the DPR Sam role, which is that designated pass rusher, Sam linebacker, as they implement some 3-4 looks. So it'd be kind of replacing Sean Lee potentially in those particular looks for the Dallas Cowboys, or you play him as a pure edge. Remember, he did both with Green Bay. Was an outside 3-4 linebacker, also played some inside linebacker when things got pretty rough in Green Bay for a while there. I like the idea of Clay Matthews, but I want to hear from you guys too. Should the Dallas Cowboys sign Clay Matthews? Type Y for yes or type N for no. If it's cheap, which is always a big if for me, I'm all for it. Speaking of signings, let's revisit Andy Dalton because that one just refuses to go away. Is he the backup? I can't believe I have to make this a story. Yes, of course he is, guys. The contract makes that very clear. And if you don't believe me, if you don't believe the Cowboys, if you don't believe what the money says, how about Andy Dalton himself saying he's going to be the backup? Is that enough for you guys? Here's what Dalton told Adam Schefter about signing with the Cowboys. I wanted to join a high-class organization, a team that's ready to win, and be with Mike McCarthy. His history with quarterbacks gives me a chance to come to a new place, a chance to learn, to help Dak out in any way, and just be an asset for this team. That does not sound like someone who says, yeah, I'm going to usurp Dak Prescott. That sounds like someone who wants to have a rehab year, if you will, for his stock and sit behind Dak Prescott. The contract that Dalton got, it's really just 1 year, $3 million. The incentives are not going to be likely to be earned, meaning they don't count on the cap this year. You went from 1 year, about $2.1 million for Cooper Rush, to 1 year, $3 million for Andy Dalton. We should stop trying to focus on Dalton versus Dak and be aware of that's one of the best backup quarterback moves the team has made this offseason. Dak's your number one, Dalton's your number two, and if there is a quarterback three on the roster, it'll be a battle between Ben DiNucci, the 7th-round pick out of James Madison, and Clayton Thorson, who the Cowboys had on the practice squad last year. That's what the purpose of adding Andy Dalton was. We should not be caught up in the back and forth of, okay, well, who's the better quarterback? Who's better starter? It's clearly Dak Prescott. Instead, you made your quarterback room a lot better. Everyone on this channel has said for a while, guys, you should probably get a better backup quarterback. The Cowboys did it. Let's give them some credit in the end. And if you want credit from your mother, you should probably get her something nice for Mother's Day. I'm going to help you guys save 15% off all types of flowers and gifts if you go to chatsports.com/mom. That's chatsports.com/mom. I've used them before when me and my now wife were living on opposite coasts. It worked out very well for me. You can have the similar effect there with your mother. She'll thank you. Be the good son or the good daughter. Don't be the one who gets their mother nothing for Mother's Day. It's chatsports.com/mom. Let's go back to Dak, though. Is this contract getting dragged out? Is it going to be dragged out? Yeah, this is just what the Cowboys do. They did it with Dez Bryant way back when. Cutting him took way too long. Extending him took way too long. Took all the way down to the franchise tag deadline. They did it with DeMarcus Lawrence twice in reality. They kind of did it with Zeke Elliott. For whatever reason, the Cowboys as an organization always seem to wait until the last second to pay their star players. That's the reality here for Prescott and for the Cowboys. The true deadline is July 15th. Yes, the virtual offseason program will end soon. Yes, minicamp could start in June. But the real hard and fast deadline for the Cowboys and for Dak Prescott is the deadline to get a new deal for franchise tag players. If the Cowboys don't get a deal done by July 15th, they've messed up even worse than they already have. This deal should have been done almost a year ago. It's not. That's a little weird. I understand why people find that kind of confusing because just pay the guy. It's not that hard. But there's no reason right now for Dak to try and rush back and get a deal done. He can wait. The Cowboys, they're inclined to wait, it seems, as well. So will they extend Dak before that deadline? Type 1 for yes or 0 for no. I think the answer is going to be 1 for yes, but it's a little bit weird that it hasn't happened already. As a note here as well, there hasn't really been any progress as of late, and that shouldn't be a surprise. There was this thing called the draft, and also, unfortunately, Dak's brother recently passed away. Probably not the best time to try to get a contract done. Now, if and when it does get done, or if it doesn't get done on July 15th, we'll be live for you guys, breaking down the signing or non-signing. So if you want to be a part of that, hit that big red button and subscribe. We're not going anywhere, even with no camp right now and the draft over. We're going to keep putting out Cowboys videos for you guys. So everyone watching, if you have not already, hit that big red button and subscribe. Let's go to some rookie talk now. How about Tyler Biadasz being the most impactful rookie for the Cowboys? Going to go with doubt on that one. I'll give it 1 star. I kind of get what Bleacher Report was doing. They wanted to avoid first-round players as impactful guys, which I think with Neville Gallimore being a backup option kind of brings down between Trevon Diggs and Tyler Biadasz. But they also kind of just handed him the starting job, which I don't think is really all that fair or accurate. You have Joe Looney, who has at least been startable at center. You also spent a third round pick, on Connor McGovern last year. You spent a fourth round pick on Tyler Biadasz this year. So investment-wise, you've invested more in Connor McGovern. I don't think that even though he won the Remington Award, which again, don't base your draft prospects on awards given out because it never actually makes sense, almost never makes sense. I don't think that he's being guaranteed anything. In terms of most impactful, even if you don't want to look at the receiver spot, CeeDee Lamb makes more sense. But doesn't Trevon Diggs make more sense too? Who do you think will have a bigger impact in 2020? We'll talk about Lamb here more in just a second. But type your B for Tyler Biadasz or D for Trevon Diggs. I'm going to take Diggs over Tyler because I think Diggs has a better path to starting in year one. Speaking of starting, is CeeDee Lamb going to start for the Dallas Cowboys? Well, yeah. I don't know. This was like a weird discussion. Yeah, obviously he's going to start. That's why receiver was a big need for the Dallas Cowboys. They did not plan to go receiver in round one. Then Lamb, their number 6 overall player, fell to them, and they're like, well, geez, guys, we're going to use a lot of 11 personnel. Side note, if you don't know what that means, 11 personnel, it means 1 running back, 1 tight end, and then, of course, the rest are receivers. So 12 is 1 RB and 2 tight ends there. You can see the groupings from last year. There are some other weird formations like 4 receivers and 3 backs at one point, I think had like 1 play that make up like 1%. But the Cowboys last year predominantly used 11 personnel. Looking at the tight end depth chart this year, they're probably going to use 11 personnel even more. If you are out there for 61+% of your team snaps, guess what, folks? You're a starter. That's what that means. So it's a no-brainer. Yeah, Lamb's going to be starting for this Dallas Cowboys team. We'll see how much of it is in the slot versus outside. But CeeDee Lamb is absolutely going to be a key starter for this Cowboys team in 2020. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.